Hello ladies and gentlemen, sorry that it's been a while since I've last uploaded. I have been pretty busy lately, and hopefully I will have another upload soon that will be like 6 battles rolled into one, so that should make up for it I think. And this is a PU game against Foofoo, and for those that have been here since the very beginning, this is the team I used in my very first upload, and it is the team that is based around abusing gravity. And there's 2 Scarfers in Zweilous and Magnemite, and then there's 1 setup sweeper in Pelipper, and they all benefit from the gravity with 100% accurate Hustle Zweilous, Zap Cannon accuracy boost from Magnemite, and Hurricane accuracy on Pelipper. Then I've got Staryu and Clefairy who can set up the gravity, and I've got the defensive Clamass core, and Clamass sounds pretty nasty to me. It's like a worse version of Chlamydia, or something like that, maybe Clamask for the face. On my opponent's end there isn't too much to worry about just because Pelipper and Zweilous together threaten a lot of his team, so let's just get into it. So I thought my opponent would lead with Lairon for the Stealth Rock, so I lead with Yamask just to get an easy burn on it, but he absolutely counter leads me here because Lampent just takes a shit all over Yamask, and there's nothing I can do in return. So I go into Clefairy expecting the Shadow Ball because although I can't really touch him, he can't touch me either unless he's some kind of like set up Lampent. I don't know if he gets Nasty Flop, I'm not too sure about that, but he actually subs and the start gets even worse for me now. So I have to go into Staryu because with the added bulk from a Violet, I can definitely live a Fire Blast followed by a Shadow Ball and then break his sub in return. And I do know that my opponent does have Maractus with Water Absorb and that he will likely go to that predicting another Scald, so I can take this opportunity just to recover back to full. So I actually expected Spikes or a physical move such as Wood Hammer, so that I could just set up the gravity first and then die off because I will outspeed and then something can just come in and then abuse the gravity whilst it's up. But he has another Pokemon with sub, so once again I'm forced to switch and I go to Yamask predicting the physical move such as Wood Hammer or Drain Punch, but he Giga Drains and that does a lot more than I expected it to do. So once again I have to go into my special wall now of Clefairy, who absolutely gobbles up that Giga Drain. And I go for the Seismic Toss just to give him the impression that I'm going to keep attacking him, so the next turn he will switch seeing that this is going to be a losing battle for him, and then I can just go for some cheeky Stealth Rocks on that switch. However, he doesn't fall for my suggested play, but it's not to worry because I can now Seismic Toss again seeing as though he's a special variant and can't really touch Clefairy. Now I switch to Pelipper expecting Lampent to come in because it will obviously be immune to the Seismic Toss. But instead in comes Tentacool, and I think this was like a semi-prediction because he can live more than one Seismic Toss and then perhaps Rapid Spin or Knockoff, or maybe even add Toxic Spikes into his spikes. But this is still a pretty good matchup because outside of Rest and Giga Drain, Tentacool has no form of recovery, so any damage I can get on Tentacool will mean his capacity to Rapid Spin freely later on in the game is reduced. And Tentacool tries to Toxic Songbird, and you don't Toxic this, because he will find you. And that was from Bioshock Infinite, by the way, an absolutely fantastic game. I would highly recommend you go and buy it. So I expected Tentacool to go for another Toxic, and Staryu is the best thing to take this because I do have Natural Cure, meaning that any status condition on Staryu is removed upon switching out. But he goes for Rapid Spin, and this is a good opportunity just to set up the gravity again, because at this point I was desperately trying to just get something in that can abuse it. You know, I've got a gravity team, I may as well try and do that. So I go to the Pelipper because I can live any hit from Maractus and then just threaten it out with a Hurricane. And I know he is baiting the Surf here so that I will go down to Life Orb, so I'm not going to take the bait, instead I'm just going to Roost because Pelipper is far too important in threatening out his team. As he does in fact switch into Tentacool, which could have easily just sponged the Surf, and rather than risk Maractus it could easily live a Hurricane too. So I go for Hurricane just whilst gravity is still up. I half expected that just to KO, which is why I didn't switch out to Magnemite or Staryu to take the Toxic, but I will now go into Staryu because this is a good opportunity to Rapid Spin. This time faced with Maractus, although I haven't seen his 4th move yet, I'm pretty confident that Magnemite can take a few hits from it, and just threaten it out with the Signal Beam. And I do take the Giga Drain fairly well considering I have no defense or HP investment or a Violet to bolster my defenses. And can I just say, I'm not the best at nicknaming Pokemon, but this Magnemite nickname I was so pleased with. My 2nd best nickname ever, but it doesn't really say too much. So I can safely go into Zweilous now because I resist Lampent's Dual Stab, and I don't want to be locked on Outrage with Lairon still at a very comfortable range of health, easily just able to eat them up. So I just go for Active Tail, which would still hit Lampent and also still seriously hurt Lairon, but I predict the Maractus switch now, expecting it to come in for the Water Absorb. So I go to Pelipper again, keeping my offensive momentum, but he goes to Tentacool, perhaps death bothering it and also just a scout to see if I'm choice locked. So after a series of stalling shenanigans with Tentacool, I kept expecting him to switch to Maractus, and you keep hearing me say that, but my god, Maractus was the bane of my life in this match with the Water Absorb. So in comes Murkrow, and apart from a very trolly prankster set which I've used, I didn't really know what else to expect. I mean, I know there are physical and special sets, but I wouldn't say they were as popular as the trolley set. But he absolutely annihilates Clefairy with a Brave Bird, so no more Stealth Rocks for me, even though I managed to take down Tentacool. So I go to Magnemite, and I know he will switch for 2 reasons, because firstly, I resist both its stab moves, and the way I brought it in suggested that I was Scarf, and would outspeed the Murkrow, and then go for the electric move, so I knew he would go to Wish Cash predicting that. So I double to Yamask because it completely shuts down Wishcash. Like, I've got the Will-O-Wisp, the Pain Split, and also the Haze just to keep shutting Wishcash down and also keeping my health fairly high. So Yamask is just doing what it does here, you know, it just completely shuts down any physical setup sweepers. And Yamask has really just done its job now because barring Wishcash, there's no need for Yamask. And I have 2 Scarfers to deal with Wishcash anyway, so with Clefairy gone, it's not really worth trying to save Yamask anymore because I don't have anything that wants to take any unnecessary damage. So in comes the Lampent, and I get the safe switch into the Zweilous, as he just takes me out with the Shadow Ball. The crit didn't really matter there, because he outspeeds, he could just take me out with another one. And because of the prior Aqua Tail damage, I am safe just to spam Outrage, as it will 2-hit KO the Lairon. Unfortunately, I get the 2-turn Outrage, so I go to the Pelipper, just expecting to sack it. Looking back, I should have just sacked Staryu and kept Pelipper for Maractus, but I thought maybe with that 100 base defense I could live the Brave Bird, but no. Pelipper just dies, I mean it just completely gets shut down, so Murkrow has become a real problem here, it's actually a really potent threat. So I go to Magnemite and I just have to hope that I can live a Sucker Punch and then just go from there, and I do just barely live the Sucker Punch and break the sub with the Flash Cannon just in case he wanted to switch to Wishcash. And I didn't want to risk playing the Sucker Punch mind games by switching, because if I switched and he subbed, then that's effectively game over, so I would rather lose Magnemite and then just go from there with a subless Murkrow. And this was actually a huge play because if he subbed down with Murkrow then this game would have been very different. However, I don't think he expected this to be Scarfed as well as the Magnemite, and because of that I can just outrage everything, and I can turn. I was actually backed into a corner here, I think I was 4 or 5-3 down at this point, it might have been 5-3 I think. So I was back against the wall, and this was a huge deficit that was being overturned now by the Zweilous. And this is effectively a 1v1 now because Staryu can't touch Maractus, so if I can break through the confusion I win, and I do, so that will be the game. No, I was down 4-2 at that point, but I still class that as a huge clutch win from Zweilous. And that was a really good game, Foofoo, thank you very much. It was a much longer game than I would usually upload, so thank you for sticking with it if you did manage to get this far. And I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will try and get another Wi-Fi battle up for you soon, it's quite hard to get them. So, with that being said, I will see you all next time. Goodbye.